Yeah, like they just don't understand what goes into it, and then you have like the
They never boxed before.
yeah, you have like the fat people like on the couch who are like saying all the shit about telling me how to box or telling me, you know.
He didn't mean fat people in a, you know what I mean, in a disrespectful way.
For the sake of his ego, I think Jake wants to win this by himself, so I don't think he'll be tagging in Logan unless he feels like he needs it, but technically it could be a 2-1 fight from the opening bell.
First of all, there's obviously none of that's true. Like no
They will
headgear.
see if you come in the ring, if you have headgear on or not.
No, but they're so fucking stupid. Like
In a major move, Jake Paul has finally responded to the claims about rigging his fight with Mike Tyson. However, Teddy Atlas, the former trainer of Tyson, believes that this fight might just become a pivotal misstep that could terminate Paul's career.
I think this is a very dangerous fight for Paul. I think early on, I think he might be making a mistake. Because, first of all, for me, he don't got a lot other than money, and he's made plenty of money.
Atlas claimed his take on the fight will make people question, did he just say that? On the other hand, Atlas expressed that Tyson is currently in a positive phase of his life and is being compensated. Weldy mentioned that Tyson has been earning good money and has made a commendable comeback in his life. He said Tyson, whatever they're paying him, he's been making good money. He's come back, like I said, in his life. He's done a good job having the people around him. I guess his wife is part of that, obviously, where they've done a good job to get him on the track. Similarly, Dana White harbors no affection for the younger Paul sibling. Thus, during his recent guest appearance on the Pound for Pound podcast, the UFC CEO didn't hold back in expressing his disdain for the forthcoming bout between Paul and Tyson. He said when the fight happens, he'll be 58 years old. It will be a 31-year age difference. Jake Paul did fight a kid his own age, and he lost. As per White, Paul's aim isn't to become a respected fighter. Rather, White said that Jake wants to make money. Moreover, White feels people who follow Jake Paul don't buy Jake Paul's fights, so Jake Paul has to fight people who can sell actual pay-per-views, hence the choice of old fighters on Paul's part. Meanwhile, Jake Paul faces a potential reputational downfall, as highlighted by Teddy Atlas. Despite this, Dana White's remarks suggest that Paul is unconcerned about his standing in the sport, driven solely by financial gain. It's evident that for Paul, the Tyson fight presents a lucrative prospect, outweighing any concerns about his legacy. However, Chris Manx, boxing analyst for Down, anticipates that the forthcoming match between them will draw the largest viewership in boxing history in decades. He said the last couple of fights, Jake has been going down the traditional boxing path. Now Jake is making the hard pivot back to celebrity boxing, and he's doing it against arguably the biggest star in boxing history. Mike Tyson. Manx remarked that he hadn't anticipated a Tyson fight occurring, yet now they are faced with a match involving one of the most significant social media personalities and one of the greatest stars in boxing history. Manx added, I didn't think a Tyson fight was going to happen, but here we are with one of the biggest social media stars ever and one of the biggest boxing stars ever. Manx believes this will be a unique event, potentially the most watched boxing event ever, speculating that it could attract around 100 million viewers.
In Mike Tyson, I was taken aback by this, Rich, because I knew that Jake had been on the hunt for a big name. I just figured it was going to be someone like Conor McGregor, who has expressed interest in fighting Jake in the past. A rematch with Tommy Fury, who Jake fought last year. I didn't think a Tyson fight was going to happen, but here we are with the biggest, or one of the biggest social media stars ever, biggest or one of the biggest boxing stars ever, fighting on perhaps the biggest global platform ever. I think this is going to be an event unlike any other.
I think this has the potential to be the most viewed boxing event ever. Moreover, Manx emphasized that regardless of one's opinion on the nature of the fight itself, the audience size is expected to be exceptionally large. He said, I could easily see this fight attracting 100 million viewers. Regardless of what you think of what this fight is in the ring, the audience for this is going to be absolutely massive. The nature of the upcoming match remains ambiguous, whether it will be sanctioned as an official bout or designated as an exhibition, stirring speculation among TikTok users. A particular video asserted that Paul was granted permission to don headgear during the match, While Tyson was not afforded the same privilege, Jake Paul is all set to box against Mike Tyson this July, but the rules in this fight are absolutely absurd. Even at almost 60 years old, Tyson would absolutely dominate Jake Paul, so they had to adjust the rules to make this a somewhat fair fight. First rule is for Paul's own safety. He'll be able to wear headgear like an amateur boxer, but Tyson won't be wearing any of that. That gives Paul a chance to knock Tyson out. But with his headgear, Jake Paul won't get knocked out and won't get badly injured. Furthermore, the same footage suggested that Jake had the liberty to tag team his sibling Jake into the contest if necessary, enabling the duo to confront the heavyweight opponent. Collectively, second rule is that Jake is allowed to tag team with his brother Logan Paul. But tag team isn't even the correct way of describing it, despite that being what the contract says, because he'll be able to bring Logan in, and they'll both be able to fight at the same time. And the last rule is kind of a 2-for-1. This states that there won't be a weigh-in for Jake. This fight is supposed to be fought at 165, meaning Tyson will need to pass this weigh-in. But Jake Paul won't weigh in, so he could be as heavy as he wants to be. And the second part of this rule is it also won't be drug tested, but again, only for Jake. So if you're keeping track, Jake will be able to fight on any performance-enhancing drugs he wants to against Mike Tyson. When the aforementioned rules were listed to Paul on the Better podcast, the YouTube-turned-boxer said it's so sad that millions of people believe that it's __. Absurd. Obviously, none of that is true. They're so __ stupid. Actually, I thought of this. There should be these hidden tests throughout life that qualify you to be able to vote or not, and they don't know whether they're taking a test or not. Moreover, Paul expressed dismay over the fact that these individuals are operating vehicles, criticizing their intelligence harshly. He lamented the state of the world, suggesting that humans are becoming increasingly less intelligent every day, describing the situation as crazy. Paul added the fact that these people are not only driving around on our streets, but they're able to vote. They're out there driving cars. They're dumb and as __. And it's sad we live in a __ up world. Humans are getting more and more stupid every day. It's crazy. In addition, Jake Paul is confident that his upcoming boxing showdown with Mike Tyson will go down in history books. He firmly believes that their clash in the ring will transcend all others, proclaiming it as the biggest fight the world will ever see. That's never happened in the history of the sport to reach those numbers. So this is, in my mind, the biggest fight the world will ever see. I don't and again, because of the Netflix, but they know that it's just like hard to handle for them, because they've been like in a spotlight and they're just jealous. No, truly, I think on the most recent installment of BS with Jake Paul, the notorious troublemaker dropped a bombshell remark that turned heads. This came as a direct response to Conor McGregor's assertion about the bout's dwindling interest. Jake asserts that the social media statistics contradict the assertions of the UFC superstar, with the entire spectacle set to be accessible to Netflix's extensive base of 260 million subscribers. It has the potential to etch itself into the annals of sports history as the most viewed event yet. In that same multiple-day span, there was 10,000 articles written about this, so just no fight ever has done these numbers in terms of like face-off views, like Instagram Reels. Just on our main pages alone, it's like 50-60 million Instagram views on both of our posts, not to mention every single other sports page posting it. That's never happened in the history of the sport. Indeed, when questioned about the potential success of the Tyson bout compared to Conor's pay-per-view showdown with Floyd Mayweather, Jake confidently stated that it would unquestionably surpass the spectacle witnessed in 2017. Jake said it'll be more viewed 1,000%. For sure. Jake took note of the impossibility of comparing PV figures, since the fight would be accessible for free on the streaming platform. Nevertheless, when it comes to viewership, he anticipates outshining the Floyd vs. Conor match by a wide margin. Just to inform you, Conor's venture into the boxing ring with Floyd amassed a staggering 4.3 million pay-per-view purchases. On the other hand, Titu's match against Manny Pacquiao, which holds the title of the highest-selling fight ever, garnered 4.6 million buys. This is helping the sport of boxing. Like, isn't that what people should want to see? Like getting more kids into the gyms, spanning 2 generations together, like doing it on the biggest scale. Hit paid $5,000 a fight, and then they see you 4 years in. Just Conor's not getting paid $5,000 a fight. It's kind of he's made. Definitely, yeah. but it's like when the old heads like Conor are still like trying to hate. It's like I don't get why are you trying to pull people like your ego? Is that why aren't you embracing young athlete, hardworking athlete, trying to change the sport? Jake asserted that the prelude to the July 20th match supports his perspective with an overwhelming abundance of articles dedicated to the Tyson event compared to Conor's recent fight announcement, amounting to a tenfold difference. Jake reassured everyone that jealousy was unnecessary, emphasizing that he was dedicated to benefiting the entire industry. This is what someone sent me a text on. He said, "You want to know something? I'm amazed how many jealous people there are. There are guys who worked all their life and could never score a major win like you did by getting a Netflix deal. Canelo never did it. Mayweather, brilliant guy, never did it. None of Dana's clowns in the UFC, none those. __. Think they are so smart. Here you are pulled a coup by landing Netflix second sports event and in front of Texas Stadium. None of those other __. Could Jake Paul receive substantial criticism when he entered the realm of boxing? Numerous individuals contended that the problem child's boxing matches deviated from the traditional bouts familiar to boxing enthusiasts. In a bold move last year in 2023, Paul didn't hold back, taking aim at Dana White and suggesting that his presence in boxing was propelling the sport to overshadow the UFC. I guess yeah, it's different, right? But that's what the sport needed, because whatever was happening before there's no excitement, there wasn't garnering the interest. UFC was killing them, and now look at like boxing's back and bigger and dominating UFC, and just analytically this year. So like people want to see something they've never seen before. Paul asserted that he was revitalizing the sport's prestige and attracting a broader audience. He also asserted that his entry into boxing has contributed to the sport's resurgence in popularity. Additionally, he criticized Dana White, asserting that analytical data indicates boxing's superiority over UFC, highlighting his significant influence since entering the ring. And they're just like on Twitter, like all the time, like saying things about people, but they don't ever actually do anything or know how to fight, or then they make excuses for all of my opponents. Leerdam, the Dutch speed skater, expressed concern to Paul, asking what would happen if he were to get knocked out. Paul, with a smile, lightly suggested that Leerdam should just avert her eyes if that occurs. However, Leerdam persisted, seriously questioning whether a knockout would signal the end of his fighting career. Paul said, "No, I'm too sharp and fast." He also mentioned that his recent activity in the ring played a significant role in his preparation, believing it made him more resilient and less prone to nerves, which he felt were no longer a factor for him. Paul said, "I think just being active and being the man in the arena for years and years now, like I don't even get nervous. The nerves are not even there anymore." Reflecting on a recent promotional activity with Tyson that took place on a helipad in Los Angeles, Paul commented on Tyson's physical strength. He said, shaking his hand at the shoot, "This is strong, like probably the strongest handshake." I don't think he was trying, not squeeze, but you could just feel his hands were like bricks. As Paul gears up for a significant boxing bout this year, an old video resurfaced showing the problem child dancing to Carly Rae Jepsen's Call Me Maybe, sparking widespread amusement among fans and casting Jake Paul in a humorous light. Predictably, there's been a considerable amount of backlash surrounding this upcoming bout. Predictably, many fans commented on the video, mocking Jake Paul extensively. One fan said, "Imagine telling Jake Paul that he has to fight Mike Tyson." Another added, "I don't like Jake Paul, but if the __. I did 15 years ago was filmed, it would probably look something like this too." And this fan said, "I must say I like that he doesn't take life too seriously. That being said, I hope Mike Tyson destroys him. I think he could use that humbling moment." We'll need to wait and see if the problem child will be completely ready for his upcoming boxing match against Mike Tyson later this year. So that's all from today's video. If you enjoyed it, remember to leave a like, subscribe, and ring that bell icon so you never miss our upcoming videos.